top story that we are tracking at this hour, and it is to do with Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy as he revamps his entire cabinet today. Now, 17 out of 25 ministers in CM Reddy's new cabinet represent the scheduled tribe, scheduled caste and backward communities and also minority communities. Now, there are 4 women representatives in the new cabinet as opposed to 3 in the previous government. 10 ministers have been retained from the previous cabinet. The swearing-in ceremony for the new cabinet will take place today. Now remember, the cabinet reshuffle is in keeping with Chief Minister Reddy's 2019 promise of revamping his cabinet halfway through his tenure. So we've seen ample protests of the people who've been left out by Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Jagan Mohan Reddy, from the cabinet this time around. We have seen a burning of his effigies in Andhra Pradesh, and this has happened by the supporters of the then Power Minister B. Srinivas. There have been also protests that have been marred, Andhra Pradesh in the wake of all the ministers who've been left out. Now we see there is going to be a reshuffle. This is something that was actually promised by Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy, that he is going to overhaul his cabinet midway. He is doing that today, and the swearing-in ceremony is going to take place today. In fact, as promised, there is ample push for the SC/ST backward communities, also minority communities. Earlier, there was a 56% representation from all these social spheres, and now that representation is also all set to be increased. It's possibly going to go up to 68%. Also, the representation of women increases in the cabinet this time around. Earlier, they were 3 women representatives. Now that number goes up to 4. So all these changes are to take place today. 17 ministers from the 25 represent the SC/ST community and the other backward class and the minority communities in this new cabinet, the reshuffle that is taking place, and the swearing-in that is going to happen today. My colleague Shomit now joins me on the broadcast. Shomit, I was mentioning about ample protests that are happening in the wake of this reshuffle. This is something that was announced by CM Reddy earlier as well. However, the people who've been left out of the cabinet this time around are not very happy.
Well, we can clearly say that because supporters of MLA and former Home Minister M. Sucharita, Meghathodi Sucharita, and supporters of Dharmasri raised slogans against Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy and Chief Advisor of Andhra Pradesh government, Sajjala, and even a few supporters have burned the effigy of Chief Minister Y. Jagan Mohan Reddy, and also the supporters of Balineni clearly, we can see the visuals, they were protesting yesterday night and as well as today in the morning. Even the top leadership has arrived at their residences to actually, explain them about the situation. But, the supporters are no way understanding, and that they were continuing their protest. And however, we are seeing that, several people who were expecting seats and several people who were also, in the previous cabinet and were actually ready and were really confident that they will retain their post in this new cabinet. They didn't get the place, however, but we can say that they are not satisfied. And finally, 24 ministers today will be taking oath in few minutes from now.
Right. Also, Shomit, the fact that CM Reddy is sticking with his motto of ample social representation. So that's why we are seeing the kind of representation from all the communities, minority communities, or it is the backward communities, SC/STs, and also women representation. So that push is there in this cabinet as well.
This is pre-planned, and we can say that it was planned while forming the government itself. And finally, after taking this decision, we can say that big representation from the SCs, STs, BCs can be seen in the new cabinet. However, 11 ministers who were in the previous cabinet were, again getting their chance to prove themselves in this new cabinet. So 11 are retaining their posts again. And out of 25, we can say that a total of 17 ministers representing SC, ST, BC and minority communities can be seen in the new cabinet. And, they are saying that unprecedented cabinet revamp, 68% representation from these, backward communities can help, further to all the communities who are staying in rural areas and tribal areas.
Right, Somit, thank you so much for joining me with all those details. I'm also now joined on the broadcast by Gopi Dara, who's the assistant editor of Times of India. Now, Gopi, the fact that we were talking about this, social representation in the new cabinet by Jagan Mohan Reddy, and he has been pushing for that representation. Earlier, it was 58%. Now that number goes up to 68%. Just take us through the significance of this.
Yes, it's a cabinet for the next elections, 2024 general elections in Andhra Pradesh. So the cabinet was formed with an eye on that election. See, in the last election, he had come to power with 151 assembly seats out of 175 in the House. So with that, now spending 3 years in the office, he had formed the new cabinet, and with this we'll be fighting the next election. And for the next election, he is going completely with a social engineering, giving a highest priority for the BCs, SCs, STs, and even women. Gender equality is also there, the gender representation. So this time he has increased the number, women number from 2 to 3. He added one more. And he had brought down VOC's representation in the ministry to the lowest ever, and had given the highest representation for the BCs and SCs and STs minorities. So in a way, Jagan Mohan Reddy is now trying to tell the people that his party is for the weaker sections. He has been saying that BCs are not backward class, but are a backbone classes for YSR Congress party. That's how he is going. That's where he has given. That's the reason why he had increased the number of BCs. So next election, the opposition party, TDP, its vote base has always been the BCs, right from its inception, from the days of NTR. So the party is backed by the BCs mostly. And now Jagan Mohan Reddy having defeated the TDP, he is targeting to take BC voters from TDP to the YSR Congress by the next election. That's the main idea. He just want to empty the TDP, even in the vote bank side also. He has already reduced the party to 23 MLAs in the assembly. And next time, in the next election, his target is to take all the BC vote bank from the TDP to the YSR Congress. That's a major reason. That's a political strategy that he is going for it.
Right. And Gopi, how do you think he's going to handle the kind of protest that Andhra Pradesh is witnessing? All the people who've been left out of the cabinet this time around. We see burning of effigies also that are happening.
It's all orchestrated. That will be there in every party immediately after this compilation of a new cabinet reshuffle or whatever formation of the cabinet. So that will be there. He is going to handle it. After all, he is a regional party head, and it is his own party. He will be able to handle it. That will subside in any party. Such revolt will be there from the dissents. People will get upset for not getting the seat, and he will call them, hold them. That is good. That's not going to be a big issue, major. Because why? Because there is no other party which can beat him right now. Beat Jagan Mohan Reddy, come to power. So TDP has lost its base. It's losing base to BJP. All its MPs have joined the BJP. So that's how TDP has become a very weak point. And there is no other party. Congress is almost insignificant in Andhra Pradesh politics. The left parties have almost zeroed. They have come to the 0 point level. Janasena Pawan Kalyan is there, but his vote share is not increasing. So if somebody from YSR Congress walks out of the defects from YSR Congress to other party, there is no point in going out. No, that party, whatever the party he joins, will not come to power. That is for sure. It's given this politics now. So no defections will take place, not right immediately. But protests will be there. People get disappointed.
Okay.
So yeah.
Right. Okay, and Gopi, you pretty much touched upon this in the beginning of my question, but I'd still want you to just explain to our viewers. Earlier also in Chandrababu Naidu's cabinet, both the times, it was a far cry from what we see in the cabinet this time around by Jagan Mohan Reddy. If you can just dissect these two aspects for our viewers.
Whatever the cabinet, whether it is Chandrababu Naidu's cabinet or NTR cabinet, that is a representation of these castes, BCs or SCs, was a very limited those days. 4, 5, 3, whatever. So that from that and upper caste, Kammas and Reddys, if Congress was in power, there were more number of Reddy ministers in the cabinet. If TDP was in power, there were more number of Kammas in the cabinet. This time, these two dominant castes have been reduced to Kammas. There are no representation. Earlier, in the Jagan's first cabinet, there was one Kamma minister. Now he is removed and there is no representation for Kammas. And now Reddy is being Jagan Mohan Reddy himself is being Reddy. He has brought down the number of Reddys in his cabinet and given more representation to the caste. The castes which were begging the leaders, which used to beg the leaders for 1 seat or 2 seats in the cabinet, 1 berth, 2 berths. Now they have a major share, line share they have got. That's the Jagan's cabinet style. So which never happened in the history of Andhra Pradesh, right. Even undivided Andhra Pradesh.
Right. Gopi Dara, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast and taking us through this cabinet reshuffle by Jagan Mohan Reddy, all set to take place today. The swearing in is going to happen today. And we are telling you this again, 17 out of the 25 ministers are from the SC, ST and backward communities and the minority communities. And that is the major push and the motto that Jagan Mohan Reddy is really standing by, of ample social representation.